Divine infinite healer, thank you for being with us, for being one with us, for flowing through us and all around us. We ask that we are clear, centered, grounded, balanced, aligned, and filled with light, love, peace, and joy. We ask for the help of the ascended beings, the masters, the guides, the angels. And we ask that these souls receive everything they need, all that is in their best interest. We are being surrounded by a lot of light beings. And they're in tiers, not tier, T-E-A-R, but T-E-T-I-E, whichever one it is. Different types of light beings, and each of you has a group coming to you, an ascended being, an angel, and one of your relatives who's crossed over, an ancestor. And there's some variation in that. You might want to try to identify who is with you. And do keep in mind that these light beings do not have to be limited to one person at a time. So some of you may have some of the same ones because they can be with all kinds of numbers of people all at once. And the work has started. Who's had problems with their digestive tract? Show of hands. The energy is working on the digestive tract. And has someone had polyps? Okay, it's working on polyps and the potential for polyps. Like if you've had some removed, they seem to be wanting to come back. And it's going to work on preventing the recurrence, and also if you have any, decreasing the number of cells that are in those polyps. So that work has begun. And then there's someone who has high blood pressure, Okay. It's begun to work on that. by bringing in an energy that unrestricts. It's doing a number of different things. One, it's working on the salt balance in the body. It's also working on the brain, the part of the brain that kind of tells your body what to do. The biochemistry of your brain and body. And it's working on unrestricting, dilating, further dilating the interior walls of your arteries and blood vessels. You may feel a shift in your body as that happens. In fact, your whole body will relax as that happens. There are a couple of you that this is a reaction to stress. Your blood pressure goes up when you're under stress. So it's working on that as well. Blow out. Is there someone who has fatty liver disease? Fat infiltration into their liver. Somebody has it. You may not know you have it, but there's someone here who has it. So it's working on that as well. And it wants to migrate fat away from the liver, fat cells. And put them in your buttocks. That's interesting. Just looks like they're marching down. This little fat cells. The whole cell, not just the fat in it, but it looks like the cell itself. So it can't come back. You can't fill it up again in your liver. Blow out. Still working on blood pressure, still working on digestive tract. Blow out. There's a shift. It's working now in the throat and in the first and second cervical vertebra. It's moving the first and second cervical vertebra. Just tiny little movements. Spacing out the jaw, temple, making more room in your skull. And some of you may feel your sinuses drain better. And your teeth, your lower teeth slide back some. Who clenches their teeth? Almost all of you. Blow out. For those who just came on, we're doing a healing, and I'm asking people to make note of what they're interested in learning how to do. Toward the end, I will go into how I did some of the things. Welcome all you folks that are just coming up. Hey there. Good to see you.
You too.
Blow out. Does someone have, it feels like someone's ribs go off to the side a little bit, like you've at some point injured your ribs and your upper body is going to one side more so than the other side. And this causes your ribs not to be front and center. It's not real obvious, like someone looking at you probably wouldn't notice it, but it is there, and it has you torqued so that your hips don't work quite as well as they should. So we're going to work on that as well. It's continuing to work down through the vertebra and the neck. Blow out. First, second, and third, fourth cervical vertebra. Which is causing more change here. You may feel your ears begin to clear. Blow out. And the top of your skull may push up, like expand outward. Hey, Alice. Blow out. And blow. Who has diabetes or is pre-diabetic? There's more than one of you. Who's the other? Okay, all right. It's starting to work on the pancreas. For the rest of you, it's still working on the things that it started with, but you may also feel it began to work on something else. At this point, it's working not just in the pancreas, but in the liver and metabolic process. Blow out. Someone has a disorder that has their red blood cells and white blood cells out of proportion. And it's working on that. Continues to work on metabolic function. Blow out. Some of you may begin to feel warm as metabolic function is targeted. And as this is going on, it's also working on some sluggish hormones and bringing sluggish hormones in balance with other hormones. And there's at least one of you who has some hormones that are a little overactive. Not all of them, just one hormone that is overactive. Blow out. There are a number of women that seem to have some imbalance in their female male testosterone along with their female hormones, that the balance isn't right. Hello? And blow. It is continuing to trim fat from a liver, migrate fat. And it's working in the Isles of Langerhorn inside the pancreas. Is there anyone who tends to get urinary infections? It's more than one. Okay. It's begun to work in the nephs inside the, that's not exactly right. Has a longer name than that, but it starts with neph and it's inside the kidneys and it's working, making all of this more functional. To better cleanse your body, better kidney function, and working through the rest of the urinary tract to cleanse, stimulate. Some of you may have to go to the bathroom later tonight, quite a few times, more than normal. Blow. And also where someone has had this issue with their kidney function and urinary tract, there's some toxins releasing out your skin. Out through the pores of your skin. Blow. As the hormones continue to be worked on and are coming into better balance, some of you may get even warmer or begin to feel warm for the first time. Blow out. Is there anyone here who's had cancer? More than one? It's working, making sure it doesn't come back. And there's someone here who really needs to make sure they get their mammograms. So just keep a watch on yourself. Blow out. And then there is a heart kidney link that's being worked on. This too seems to tie into blood pressure. Blow out. Did someone bring somebody into the circle that has cancer now?
I may have.
Pardon?
I may have.
Okay.
You know her. Her first name is Anne.
It's working very strongly on someone who has cancer now. So it does feel like you brought her in.
Right. I had an ultrasound and I'm not seeing the doctor until tomorrow, but I don't have a diagnosis yet.
Blow out.
I put her name in the chat for you, Wanda.
Okay. Yeah, I had already figured that out, Wendy. And I just saw what Donna said. Does everyone know that Donna's daughter, the baby is posterior and her daughter is having chest pains. So they called an ambulance for her and Donna is now gone. So, and she asked that we all send energy to them, the baby and the mother. Blow out. Thank you, Karen. So there seems to be a lot of etheric surgery going on with the people who have cancer. Okay, there's someone here who has some little blockage in the arteries to the heart and the vessels associated with the heart. Probably not enough that you noticed it, but it does want to try to clear some of that. And there's one person who has some in their neck, in the arteries in the neck. And it continues to work. It's now at the 5th, 6th, and 7th vertebra in the neck. And it's starting in to work down through the shoulders. Blow out. blow, blow. Blow out. Heart chakras are clearing in almost everyone. Along with second chakras, this is relationship related. And having felt used and abused in relationships. Blow out. And blow. There is some work being done on anxiety. This is not, you may not have anxiety right at this moment, but there are people here who get anxiety frequently. Any hands? It's working to help you, one, find the source of what causes your anxiety. And two, it's working in your inheritance of a tendency toward it. But it's also working in the learned part of it. Learned at the mama and daddy's knee. Blow out, and it's like coming out. It's shooting out like a geyser. Ooh, there's a lot of anxiety. Ugh, feels better when that leaves. My goodness, that was a lot. Still coming. And blow. Hey there. Blow out. There's now been added a layer of deep sorrow. So we're also going to work with letting go of sorrow and being able to recover from loss. A lot of pain in the heart. Not for everyone, but for a number of you. And it's also adding in some sorrow of loss associated with your bodies. Blow. And then the energy is moving down the spine and going into the thoracic area of the spine. This area down in here. And as it does, some people who get indigestion are going to feel a shift as it works on the spinal nerve roots. Well, excuse me, in the thoracic area of the spine. It's doing that for everybody. And there is a release out of the third chakra and throat. And from the heart, it continues to work on relieving a sense of loss. Different kinds of losses for different people. In one case, or more than one, some sense of loss of self. In one case, not being able to find yourself. Like not finding who you really want to be. And feeling like you're stumbling down the path instead of running down it toward a goal. Blowout. Show of hands, how many people feel like they haven't fully found like a call or what they're supposed to be doing? Yeah, it feels like a number of people are in that category. So we're going to ask for some special help with that. Because really your job is to be yourself. And you are yourself. So that's okay. You know, that's your job. It's also to treat other people well and treat yourself well and love yourself and know that just as much as you're looking for your purpose or what it is you're supposed to do, well, you're supposed to live and love and find joy in the living and loving, and the rest of it will show up. If we get up every day and love everything and everybody, the rest of our fulfillment happens. So you have to love your life at every point of your life. And it's opening hearts to being able to love whatever's in front of you. To appreciate everything that happens every day. And find all the good in it. And that's how you find fulfillment. Flow. A lot of work happening in the throats. If you ever feel pulled toward doing something, then just do it. Don't be afraid to try things out. More coming out of the throat. Just working on knowing how to be happy. And how to rebound. How to have resiliency. Say like you're one of those dolls, you knock it down and it sits back up again. Or wibble wobble. Blow out. It's working on the part of your brain chemistry that facilitates resiliency. Stimulating parts of your brain. Further clearing the heart chakra. Further clearing the brow chakra. In our third eye, there is a midline point. And that midline point, if you look above it, everything looks good. If you look below it, things don't look too good. Train your eyes to be able to look at midline and above. And it's not that you can't see below the line, but that you don't dwell below the line. When I first started learning how to be psychic, I went around to some psychics to see what they did, you know. I tried a few of them, and some of them were nothing but doom and gloom. And I thought, well, that's nice if you want to scare people to death, you know. Because life is never all doom and gloom. There's also a lot of good things in between. So find some balance there, kids, you know. There's got to be a better way of doing reading than that. And so I trained myself to always see the good, as well as sensing something somebody really needs to know. Blow out. And blow. There you go. I can feel energy beginning to move down into the lower chakras from the upper chakras. Some of us hold ourselves so tightly out of fear that we won't be perfect, out of fear that we'll make a mistake, out of a fear that if we try something, we'll fail, or for whatever reason that we have, that we inhibit the flow of energy between the upper chakras and the lower chakras. We hold our energy up in our chest, and it never, the energy is never released to stimulate the lower chakras with the light that comes in from here down, and then sometimes accumulates at the heart level because it can't make its way on down, so that we can be our most creative and effective self if we can get that light to move on down into lower chakras. So for some of you, your lower chakras are being stimulated as the light moves out of your chest and on down. Blow. That also seems to be causing your chakras to want to line up. Get better aligned. Oops, some of you, it's like, whoa, here they come. They were off over here, and these were off over there. And now you're lining up like this. So those bottom ones are getting under the upper ones, and the flow gets even stronger down your body. You may begin to feel energy in your legs as that happens. And some of you are turning orange, and some are turning yellow, and some of you are turning red, and it look like flames licking up your body. So your lower chakra energy is coming up your body as your upper chakra energy comes down your body. Well, that gives you access everywhere to everything you've got. And blow. And for some of you, there's a lot of energy now moving down into your legs. It's having an effect on your joints in your legs. Also, muscle tension in your legs and lower back. Running into your feet. Some of you are afraid to take a step. Who's afraid to take that next step? Let's set you free. You got to pick up your feet to take that next step. Not at the same time, one at a time. It's pitter patter, not to jump. Flow. Although you can take a leap of faith in the ascension process that people have, almost all of us will be called upon to take a leap of faith. And most of the time, when you take it and you believe that you'll be safe, then you kind of land in a new land of plenty. So if you feel called upon to take a leap, jump, then it's part of the ascension process. Blow out. All of you are expanding, your aura is getting larger. And all of you are connecting together, and you're not all in the same place, that's for sure. Blow out. Some of you are grounding. Some of you are having a Kundalini type of experience. As you do, you're also bringing the stars and the galaxies and all the universal energy in. Multiversal energy in. As that happens, you're picking up speed. The vibration is increasing pretty dramatically for some of you. There will be less fatigue. You will find a change in some things that have been chronic symptoms. Blow out. And all of you need to ask yourself, what now? What do you want to do now? And let yourself tell yourself the answer. All of us are only limited by ourselves. Get out of your cage. And take off. You are balancing side to side, above and below, and filling up. All your cells filling up. That feels pretty complete. How many of you felt it? So did anybody take note of anything they wanted to ask about?
Yes, I want to ask about the midline. You were talking about that. Is it just something I focus on? I try to, I know we attract negatives, so I try not to look at the negative, but how does that work?
It's, can you find your third eye?
Sure. Mhm.
All right. Get up in it,
Okay.
look out of it.
Mhm.
If you look at it, you will see a slight line. Find the line.
Mhm.
All right, look above. Raise the third eye. All you're doing is raising the vibration of the third eye. What do you see?
I see mountains and a lot of fresh air. There's a lot of fresh air and mountains.
All right. Go back.
Okay.
You can continue. What did you want to say?
I tend to look down and to the right when I'm doing a reading. So I was wondering how to look above the midline, but I figured it out just by doing it.
It's up here.
Right.
It's not in here. It's not in your
Right.
eyes. The
Right.
reason people tend to stare off into space
Right.
when they're doing readings is because you're using this eye and not this one. These go out of focus
Right.
and this one focuses.
Okay. But I know I tend to look sort of down to the right, but I can see that I was above the midline. So we can do both at the same time.
Yeah, because they're not same thing.
Okay.
The looking with the third eye, it's can operate independently of your physical eyes. All right, go back and find the midline. Look below. See the difference?
Yes.
Could other people do that? And you saw the difference when you did it?
Thank you.
If you stare straight at the midline, what happens?
actually, I'm seeing a broader, more transparent line.
What's in it?
Plasma? It's like a textured plasma?
Is it a doorway?
No.
Anybody see the multiverses when they look through it? Practice that one.
Mhm. Thank you.
Any other questions? Teresa?
Yeah, Wanda,
Come back to you, Cindy.
when you were doing the energy sort of pulse, when you were talking about the person with the ribs that were misplaced and you brought the energy down and it kind of like realigned my spine and made me feel like click, 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 everything kind of aligned. So now how do I recreate that? Can you model that, the feel of that energy, or what would you recommend that I do to kind of recreate that?
Well, it's not that hard to do. You just expect it to happen. The energy is, I'm going to bring it back for you.
Okay.
You feel it?
Yes, because every energy that you had for modeled for us tonight, they're all the same energy, but they're all just a little bit different. There's a
Slightly different.
nuance or a subtlety to it. And
Yeah.
so this one, I'm starting to feel the nuance to this one.
Can you describe that?
It feels more rounded and less angular. And the coloring is sort of peachy, rosy, very calming and beautiful and welcoming.
Like a sunset.
Yeah.
And what does it do?
So it's very gentle and it's more like an infusion as opposed to like, you know, a direct assault of energy. It felt like it was coming down through more the back of my head, like just behind my crown. And it went down in
Where's
through
your
the,
spine start?
yes. Kind of like through where the octopus is, and then down in through the bones. And wherever it would come to something that crossed, like the clavicle or the shoulders, it would kind of push where it needed to push in order to get the alignment correct. And as it went down, it did the same thing. It wasn't forceful. It was just like a nudge.
Yeah.
And I could feel the body responding to that very, very nicely.
Should be responding now too.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Could everyone fill that again? Oh, yes, I'll come right back to you, Cynthia. Could everyone feel it happen again when we brought that energy in? Okay. Cynthia? Can't hear you, dear. You'll have to unmute. Unmute yourself. You have to, there you go. There you go. Now we can hear you.
I find that I'm an empath, and I have, I think a long time ago, I purposely kind of encrusted my heart because I felt so much pain and I saw so much sadness and illness. So now when you talked about this, I thought, oh my God, I can't believe I I sealed my heart off. So when you said that, I said, oh, I've been wanting to open it up. I never realized how much I've encrusted it and put it like padding or something around it. It's like a huge crust on it. So when you said that opening up to my legs, I couldn't even see the color that was coming up. I've always gone from, when you said about the third eye and up, I think I've always focused on looking up. I don't want to look down anymore. I've like refused looking down. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you need to be able to do both without always looking down. Some people get stuck one way and some people get stuck another way. You need to be unperturbed about anything you see or sense.
How do you,
Because the world is about balance. So whatever you see, know that there's always a balance for it. And then shift your view and you will see what the balance is.
so just because I am very much aware and I feel so much pain, how do you balance that though? Because,
There are equal amounts of beauty,
well, I see beauty. I mean,
joyousness. You focus on the love people have, the joyousness that's in many people. There's equal amounts of that. So why just focus on what feels bad? Everybody has pain sometimes, but everybody also has joy.
but why do I feel their pain? I see, that's what I'm talking about. When I feel
Often,
like
when-
I feel so much pain, it hurts me.
that's because that's what you're focused on. You have to shift that focus toward feeling what feels good. See the light in people. Don't focus on just their pain. Use it as a tool to know when someone's in pain and provide them with love and caring and understanding, but also know that they're a light being and there's also joy in them and love in them, and focus on helping them find that. Remember that. Remember who they are. Nobody comes to the earth to live in pain. Help them remember that they're a light being who can pretty much do whatever they need to do to be in the right place at the right time with the right tools. Yes, people have pain. It's not the only thing they are. They're everything. Find the rest of it. One of the things you can do is to help magnify their light by shining yours. So what I do when people are in pain, I'm an extreme empath. I wouldn't be able to do what I do if I wasn't an extreme empath. I wouldn't be able to feel what everybody else felt and understand it if I couldn't feel people. But what I do is when I feel people, I sense the wholeness of the person and I expand my energy and turn all the lights on and model that you're this too. I raise the vibration instead of dropping my vibration to their pain level. I raise the vibration so that then they start to feel good. If you can do that, if you drop into their pain level and you allow the vibration to stay there, you're just going to hurt and they're not going to be helped. If you can then raise the vibration, everybody wants to feel better, so they will follow suit. They will go after the feel good, and they will feel better too. And then you are a skilled empath.
Thank you.
Yeah, I tune into people. If their knee hurt, my knee hurts. If they've got a chest cold, I'm coughing. You know, if their sinuses are clogged, mine are draining. You know, if they got a headache, I know it instantly, but I don't stay there. I feel it enough to know what they need, and then I help them find what they need, and they shift. So use your empath ability as a guiding tool. It tells you where there's an issue, and then you help the issue, and everybody feels better. You don't stay with it until your energy drops. You stay with it long enough to identify it. And then you back up a little bit, provide a lot of light. Provide your love, not your own pain, but your love. Often when we read people, whether it's with empathy or another type of reading, we're drawn to what we have the most of. If we have a lot of emotional pain, we will sense their emotional pain. If we've got arthritis, we're probably going to feel their arthritis. If we've ever had cancer, you're probably going to feel if they have cancer or not. So the thing to do is to recognize that that happens. You will also feel things that you're not familiar with. And I've told this a million times, but when I was first learning how to do readings, I tuned into a lady one time and I went into labor. Oh my God, you're going to have a baby. Well, I haven't been able to get pregnant. No, you're going to have a baby. Oh God, I'm having labor pains. I know what those feel like. You're going to have a baby and you're going to name her Elizabeth. And sure enough, she had a baby, and she came to tell me about her new baby, and she had named her something other, and her middle name was Elizabeth. And her face went so funny when she was telling me what the baby's name was. You tune into things you're familiar with, but you can expand it. And I knew what labor pains were like, so that was easy to identify. Now I would just know that she's going to have a baby. One time I told a young lady that came to me, I said, if you don't want to have a baby, watch what you do tonight. Be very careful. 9 months later, she had a baby. So it changed over time where I was able to do it without having labor pains in order to identify what it was. So readings, as you become more able to identify the information and put it together more quickly, they become less empathic and more knowing. But you will still, I still know every ache and pain people get, but it's like a brief moment of it and not 10 minutes of labor pains. So keep doing it and train yourself to have that skill of making people feel good, because that's who you are. That's who everybody really is. We all know how to feel good. We just forgot that we did. So you remind them of how to do that. Anybody else have a question? Michelle?
Hi.
Hey,
So-
sweetie.
Hello, lovely. So well, first of all, thank you so much for the beautiful energy. Oh my goodness, so expansive. I would love to stay in that expansiveness. I find that, and I think this kind of dovetails off of what Cynthia was speaking to also. I find that sometimes I do feel the light coming in. I can feel it come all the way through my body, but I also feel like I block it. There could be a situation that I don't particularly care for, and it turns my day in a different direction. And sometimes I wonder, can I find that light again? Can I bring that light through? So the blocking of the heart, I have a sense, is common, but it isn't who we are. I know that. I would like to get an idea of what we need to do to bring that light in, to keep that heart expanded as much as possible.
You are the light. Everyone here is the light. That's who you are. You're a light being. So you're already that. What happens is you shift your focus away from that fact. Your focus, when we get upset, just like you were moving your third eye above midline and below midline and looking through the little portal that is the midline in order to see beyond this reality to all the others. Sometimes we narrow our focus down to what feels like a problem. Like if you want to feel expanded, you just shift your awareness to how expanded you are. If you narrow your focus down to an issue or a problem that you're having, that's the way you're going to experience it, as a problem. If you take your focus back out here, it won't look like as big a problem. It'll look like an opportunity to create even more expansiveness and harmony and cooperation. So we have to learn to be very elastic with our how we view things. You just try it now. Take your focus, put it out to the edges of your aura. Allow yourself to see everything in between. You big, beautiful thing, you. Everybody's expansive. It only requires practicing that elasticity of awareness to see it. You're the whole universe. And then if you want to focus on your heart, shift your awareness, place it on your heart, and you can sit there and watch it beat. You can look at the arteries. You can look at your own aorta, see if it's healthy or not. You can shift the rhythm of it. Slow it down. You can look at those arteries that were restricted because of your tension in your body and expand them back out. And you'll actually feel a rush as that happens because your blood flows better. How many people were able to do that? Of go out and focus. Good. There's no end to the way you can focus. You can get outside of yourself and look back at yourself and say, I got a dark place in my aura where not all the communication systems turned on. I think I better go back in there and turn that on. Flip the switch, get my communication flowing better. Oops, screw in the light bulbs, like Christmas tree lights. Light it all back up again. Good. Anybody else have a question? Jen, did you have a question?
Yeah, so this is maybe this is too big of a question, but I'm curious. So how are you doing this? Like, are you channeling spirit and getting information, or are you like scanning? Are you sending energy out and just scanning everyone's bodies? Like, do you have an idea when you say like
When I
somebody has
connect
high
to the
blood
group.
pressure, like who you're focusing on, or like how are you getting the information, I guess?
I connect with the group and I just scan them. I might not get the exact person, usually because it's not just one person that has the issue. Remember, sometimes I would say it's more than one person.
Mm-hmm.
So I might not know the exact person. If I moved my attention from person to person to person, I would pick up specific information about that person, but I'm connected into you as a group. So I'm picking up things that might be relevant to other people in the group. And we also ask you to bring in other people. So some of that information was relevant to other people as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always connected to spirit. So sometimes information comes that way. But a lot of times it's just because I've done this a lot. I've worked with groups a lot. I've done so many healing sessions on so many people that it's how you focus on them and how you connect with the group. So I generally just take my aura and put it around everybody. Or a better way to say it might take my awareness and put it around everybody. And then I can feel everybody. And while I've got my awareness around everybody, it's like things light up and I need to talk about that, Something else will light up and I need to talk about that. Again, when I'm connected into a group like this, it's not always you have this and you have that, although I could do it that way. But I would have to look at each of you individually or move my focus around in order to do it that way. It's often easier just to pick up on things that are pertinent to a lot of people.
So when you started learning how to do this, do you start you start with yourself and essentially do like a body scan and try to figure out like where your own, like, did you start kind of small and then be able to expand from there? Or like, how do you cultivate this, I guess is what I'm asking.
Before I started working with groups, I had already done a lot of people. I did readings for people for 10 years before I started doing healings. So I had pretty much already figured out how to connect with a group by then. And then when I started doing healings, it was just more the same thing, only also bringing energy in when I found something that wasn't going well. The connection is wanting to be connected. It's knowing that you can connect with an unlimited number of people. And when I first began, I always hear things that I'm supposed to do. So I had, I'm standing in a, remember, I think I was doing a session for somebody, and I always get things when I'm doing a session for somebody because that's when I'm the most open. And I heard, it's time for you to teach. Okay, so I don't like public speaking, but you want me to teach. Okay, God, I'll go do it. So I started teaching, and in order to do that, in order to do the exercises and to know what was happening when people were doing the exercises, I had to be able to connect with what they were doing. And so I continued to develop techniques for connecting with the people that I was teaching. And it just kind of went from there. And then I figured out I'm going to do healings on a group of people. And one of the reasons I figured out I could do healings on a group of people is I kept having people ask me to heal their families or their friends or this other person over here at the same time. So I figured if they ask about it, it must be because you could do it. I don't think I'm ever asked to do anything because people are drawn to the people they need. People are drawn to who they need, as we're brought together for a purpose. So if you set out to be a healer, you will draw to you, and they will be drawn to you the correct matchup for you to expand your skills and for them to receive the healing they need. So you keep getting more challenges to keep expanding your skills. If you do readings, it'll be the same way. You'll have people come to you and they'll be asking things. Well, can you see my dead brother? Is he okay? Well, let me see. Maybe I can do that. Yeah, I can see it. Here's what he says. You just keep expanding until you provide a full service to people. Never set limits on what you think you can do. Just keep trying until you can do it. And my belief is all of us can do all of this. We're all perfectly capable of doing whatever. And if one person can do it, most of us can do it. Some people are going to be geniuses at it, and some people are going to be average at it, and some people are going to be maybe not quite average at it, but everybody can do it. And there's another thing that happens when you come together in a group, the energy is so expansive and so strong that it makes you even better at doing it. Mm-hmm. You're not just using your energy to do it. The whole group is focused on it. And so the vibration just skyrockets and you're able to coast down that wave and do a lot more than you can do by yourself.
Thank you.
And who was it that had raised their hand? Was it Wendy that you had asked a question? Christine, you had a question. Who had a question over here?
I do.
I'm sorry, who was that?
Cynthia. Cynthia has another question.
Okay, can we take just a few more people and see if anybody else wants to ask one, and then I'll come back to you, Cynthia.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, Christine, did you have a question? Okay, Laura? Okay. I swear I saw somebody over here that had a question. Was it Wendy?
I was wondering if you could tell us more about the anxiety piece.
About being able to sense it?
No, certainly not. But you did ancestral as well as you had 3 or 4 different pieces of clearing the
Yes.
anxiety tonight. So could you say more about that, please?
Yes. In working with anxiety, there are different components of it. Some people learn it. They have very anxious parents and they learn to be anxious because that's their role model. They have, usually the same people will have a genetic propensity for anxiety where they inherit that tendency toward that because those parents are anxious and they've passed it on. There can be a genetic mutation where the person with anxiety is the first in their family to have it. There can also be ancestral components where someone in the family had PTSD, it changed their DNA, and that gets passed along as anxiety. So you try to find where it's coming from. It could be that they had trauma and that trauma brings out anxiety in them, and their response to it is to become very anxious. It also may be that they get a lot of attention when they have anxiety attacks. So they started doing that as a child, and they learned that that causes people to come to help them or to mitigate the circumstances. So again, you look for all the reasons that this might exist with a person, and you approach it from as many of those reasons as you can. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Any more that you need to know about that?
There is, but you probably don't have the next hour to talk.
Okay, all right. Maybe
With
I'll
boarding-
just teach a class one night, anxiety alone.
I think that would be incredibly valuable. 40 million Americans were diagnosed with it before
I
COVID.
think
and
the real number's probably bigger than that.
yeah, well,
Those are
especially
just the ones who
post-COVID.
don't help.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Cynthia, you had another question?
Yes, I was curious about how do you focus when right now I'm with someone who's passing on? What can I do to make it more comfortable?
You enfold them in all your love, and you're grieving as well. And you do the best you can with it. It would be nice if you could have someone there to support you in that process. So if there's any way that you could have one of your children or a friend come in and help you at this time, I think that would be important.
Is there a color? See, I'm a very color sensitive. So I think God, what color? Well, literally God, right? What color can,
Green tends to be very soothing. You might try that.
because I think base is green and purple. So that's curious that it's green, because that's the Archangel Ariel too, isn't it?
Raphael.
Raphael?
Yeah. Another thing that this may not be something you want to do, but sometimes people are staying here for us or because they're afraid to let go. And sometimes if you give them white light, they will let go and move on. And this helps them not suffer as much.
Oh, good.
It helps take their fear away. Because it's not worthwhile, it just prolongs. And the tribulation that they're having when they just can't let go of the earth for some reason. So if you hold them in white light, sometimes they'll just go right on up their silver cord. You could also try silver, which makes it easier for them to see that they're sitting on their silver cord and they're reaching the point of no return, or have reached it, that they're not going to come back. I would not advise you to do that with your husband.
Okay.
Because you're not objective.
No.
You're not the one to do it.
Okay, good.
Just use the green.
Oh, good. Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Sorry, dear. Everybody also say a prayer for Cynthia, as well as the baby and the mother, the new mother.
the new mother. That's always wonderful.
All right. Well, it's 9 o'clock. So I think our time is up. I'm going to ask you and just remind everyone, last month we didn't have enough money to pay for the church. So it would be nice if people could come make a little bit of a donation. The speakers, most of us, I don't get paid for doing this. I don't want any money for me, but there are expenses associated, like having Donna help us with the services and a number of other things that we have. So if you feel it in your heart that you could give a donation, that would be very helpful to us being able to keep the church going. If you can't pay your bill, you can't keep the doors open, so to speak.
And can we say a prayer all together too before you go?
Of course.
Good. Thank you so much.
So I feel the presence of the archangels, 3 different masters, and God. So we ask for the healing of everyone here for everyone to come to the place where they realize what powerful and wonderful and beautiful beings they are. And that we all recognize that about each other. And that if we just sit with love for everyone and everything, that's the best healing that you can ever give for anybody. Just being there with love in your heart. It's the one thing that people need the most. And we all feel the love of God. Just feel it move through you. It's there for all of us. It's the same love we have. Our ability to love is modeled on this. Blessed be. So good to see all of you.
Thank you so much, Wanda.
And to not see some of you, but I see your names. And I'm so glad you came. Love you all.
Love you
Love
back,
you.
Wanda.
You.
Thank you, Wanda. Much love to
Thank
you and everyone.
Thank you, Wanda. So good to
Thank
see
you.
you.
See you
Yes,
next
thank
time.
you, Wanda. So good to see you.
Oh, bless.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Much
you,
love.
Wanda.
Thank
Bye,
you.
y'all.
Good night, all.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.